Okay, let's talk about something that's, well, it's everywhere right now. Psychedelics. It seems like you can't go a day without hearing about them. But with all that buzz, what's real? Let's try to cut through some of that noise and get right to it.
It's pretty wild when you think about it. Not that long ago, this was a topic you just didn't talk about openly. It was totally taboo. But now, it's all over the news, it's in major research labs. It feels like we've gone from this forbidden, shadowy thing to something people are genuinely, seriously curious about. And that leads to this huge question that I think is on everyone's mind. You hear these two totally opposite stories, right? On one side, it's like, this is a miracle cure, something that can heal years of trauma in a single session. And on the other side, you've got these stark warnings that they're a dangerous poison. So, what's the deal? Which one is it? Well, as you can probably guess, the truth is somewhere in the middle. It's a lot more nuanced than that. The best way to think about this stuff isn't as a miracle or a poison. It's better to think of them as really, really powerful tools. And just like any powerful tool, say a chainsaw or a scalpel, they demand respect, they demand responsibility, and you absolutely have to use them in the right context to get any good out of them, and to do it safely. So, keeping that powerful tool idea in our heads, let's start with the promise. What's all the excitement about? What's the potential for healing and growth that's got everyone so interested? What we're seeing in clinical research right now is pretty incredible. I mean, we're talking about real, promising results for some of the toughest mental health challenges out there. Things like treating severe depression, helping people finally address the deep wounds of PTSD, and even helping people break free from addiction. And to be really specific here, we're talking about things like psilocybin, that's the stuff in magic mushrooms, showing huge promise for people with depression that just hasn't responded to anything else. And then there's MDMA-assisted therapy for PTSD. It's been a total game changer for so many, especially veterans. This isn't just theory, This is research that's actually changing lives. And it's not just what's happening in the labs. Outside of those clinical settings, when used responsibly, people are reporting these really profound shifts in their lives. We're talking about a huge boost in creativity, feeling way more empathy and connection to other people, and finding this new sense of meaning. So it's not just about getting rid of the bad stuff, it's about adding more of the good stuff. It's about living a richer life. And what's so fascinating is how this ties into stuff we already know. You've probably heard of Daniel Goleman, the guy who wrote the book on emotional intelligence. He says the two pillars of EI are self-awareness and empathy. Well, isn't it interesting that these are the exact things people report get stronger? It's like these experiences might be a way to directly exercise those core human muscles. Okay, but we have to be real here. With all this incredible potential comes some serious responsibility. We absolutely cannot talk about all the good stuff without taking a hard, honest look at the risks. So let's flip the coin over and look at the other side.
And if you're going to understand the risks, you have to understand two words. This is maybe the most important concept in this entire conversation: set and setting. Set is your mindset. It's what you're bringing to the table, your mood, your intentions, what you're hoping for. And setting is your physical environment. Where are you? Who are you with? Seriously, getting this part right is everything. It is the #1 way to manage risk.
Because if you get that context wrong, the psychological risks are very, very real. We're talking about bad trips, and that's not just a casual term. It means intense anxiety, terror, paranoia. It can be a truly awful experience. And this is critical. For anyone with a personal or family history of psychosis, like schizophrenia, there's a risk of triggering a long-term episode. This is no joke. It has to be taken incredibly seriously. Now, what about the physical side of things? For the classic psychedelics, think psilocybin or LSD, the substance itself isn't very toxic to your body. The real physical danger usually comes from something else: making bad decisions. Your judgment is impaired, so you might do something unsafe. Or, and this is a big one, mixing them with other substances. That's where things can get physically dangerous. All right, so the experience itself is over. What now? Whether it was amazing or really tough, what happens next is just as important as the trip itself. And that next step is called integration. This is where the real work begins, turning those big insights into actual lasting change in your life. So what does integration even mean? Think of it like a bridge. On one side, you have this wild, profound psychedelic experience. On the other side is your normal everyday life. Integration is the process of building that bridge. It's about taking what you learned and actually weaving it into who you are day to day. If you skip this part, even the most incredible insights can just fade away. Or even worse, just leave you feeling confused. So, how do you actually do it? Well, there are a few key practices. Things like talking it through with a therapist, journaling to get all those thoughts out of your head and onto paper, practicing mindfulness to stay present, and connecting with a supportive community. It's not a one-and-done thing. It's a real commitment to making sense of it all. So this brings us to the big picture. How do we pull all of this together, the good and the bad, to find a responsible way forward? It really comes down to honoring these things for what they are, powerful amplifiers. And that sense of honor has to go beyond just the substance. We have to remember and respect the indigenous traditions that have been working with these plants for centuries, even millennia. They were the original stewards of this knowledge. The whole modern psychedelic renaissance is built on the foundation of their wisdom, and it's our job to remember that and honor their legacy. So, if you take away just one thing from all of this, let it be this idea. Psychedelics are amplifiers. That's it. They don't put anything new into your brain. They just take whatever is already there, all your hopes, your fears, your past joys, your hidden traumas, and they turn the volume way, way up. They can light up the best parts of you, but they can also shine a spotlight on the darkness.
The famous psychiatrist Carl Jung had a quote that just fits this so perfectly. He said, "One does not become enlightened by imagining figures of light, but by making the darkness conscious." And that's really the heart of it, isn't it? Real growth doesn't happen by ignoring the tough stuff. It happens when we face it. And that's exactly what these tools, when used with care, can help us do.
And that leaves us with one final, really personal question. If these things are just amplifiers, what's inside of us that we're choosing to amplify? The answer, ultimately, isn't in the substance at all. It's within you. Thanks for going on this deep dive with us.